one of the things that I've come to realize is that there's a certain mindset that creates this feeling of emotional quicksand. I've referred to it in other videos. It's when you become obsessed with a girl, when you're so scared of losing her, or when she's already slipping away, you're so obsessed with getting her back that your life almost stands still. You literally can't think about anything else. Maybe you're in this predicament right now where you've got this one girl on your mind and you're chasing after her. You're constantly playing a mental chess game in your mind of what to do. You're replaying conversations, trying to figure out what went wrong or how you can get her back. And I deal with this all the time from clients. And what I realized is, and the reason I really want to create this video is because there's a mindset that creates that feeling. And nice guys tend to suffer from this. And it tends to be the number one reason why they struggle so much to keep attraction in a woman, or even to get a woman attracted to them in the first place. So what is the mindset? Let's talk about the mindset, and then I'm going to explain a little bit why it's more important. And more importantly, I'm going to give you 3 tips to implement this new mindset going forward so that you avoid emotional quicksand. You don't get wrapped up in a woman. You're not the guy chasing women, you're the guy being chased. So the mindset is of abundance. And even if you think you know what I mean by the word abundance, right? Please stick with me because I'm going to make this even clearer and even more pertinent, even more so that you can actually implement this. Not just this abstract theory of, oh, yeah, it's abundance, of course. No, I'm going to show you how you develop this habit of thinking of women in terms of abundance, which allows you to escape that nice guy mentality that winds up chasing women and become the guy that women chase. Now, in a previous video, I actually talked about the 5 traits that women chase in a man. And if you haven't watched that video, it's on my channel. I'll link to it below, called 5 Traits That Women Chase in a Man. But the reality is all 5 of those traits, things like autonomy, boundaries, right? All these things rely on this mindset. Because if you don't have the mindset of abundance, it's very hard for you to be completely autonomous, to go about your life, to focus on other things besides women, or you talked about the idea of setting boundaries with women. If you don't feel like you have options, if you don't feel like there's always another woman out there that would be into you, it's very hard to set boundaries because you are too afraid to lose a woman. You're too scared to walk away. I was doing a session recently with a client, and he's telling me about the situation he's in. And let's just, without getting into details of his private life, let's put it this way. It's not a situation you want to be in, right? There is very, very, very little hope that the relationship with this woman will ever turn into what he wants it to be. Yet, he's still wasting weekend after weekend spending time with her, not getting what he wants because he is unable to walk away. Well, why is he unable to walk away? Because he does not have an abundant mindset. He has a scarcity mindset. His mindset is, she is the only one, right? Who's been there? Who has been there where you've dated a girl? Maybe it's an ex-girlfriend. Maybe it's a girl you went on a few dates with, or maybe it's a girl you're in the friend zone with right now. And something about yourself tells you, she's just different. She's just special. We just have this connection that I don't have with other girls. Well, that feeling of she is special really comes from a place of scarcity, of believing that she's the only one you're ever going to meet like that. I could remember getting at a college, and I had been dating this girl throughout college, and we were about to move in together, and we had talked about marriage, and we were like, we were on that track. And then out of nowhere, she pulled the rug out from under me, and in a matter of weeks, I went from thinking I was about to move in with her, thinking that this was going to be my life. I was going to marry her. We were going to spend the rest of our life together, to her going, I'm just not feeling it. And my next 6 months to a year I was in emotional quicksand. She was all I could think about. I remember a month where I couldn't even get out of bed. And I tried to get back into the dating scene, but every girl that I met, I would just compare to her and go, they're just not like her, or she's just different. And then, the same thing happened. With the girl that I actually developed the scrambler around. I've told that story before as well, where a girl that I was in the friend zone with, I got out of the friend zone, and then she slipped away, and I became obsessed again. Oh my God, emotional quicksand. She's all I can think about. And every girl that I would meet, I would compare to her. And in reality, what was going on in both situations, and like I said, maybe you've experienced this too, it's scarcity thinking. It's this thought process that there's only a limited amount of women that fit into this box of your type, or girls that you'll connect with, or women that but the reality is, and the reality is that the deeper feeling that you have is not that she's the one, right? It's not that she's special. The reality is that the unconscious belief is that she's the only one who finds me special, right? She's the only one who finds you special. Because on a logical level, there's plenty of other women that you would love to be with. So the reason that you're chasing after this one girl is because you had this good feeling with her, and now you think, oh, I had such a good feeling with her, and she's beautiful and she's fun. I'm never going to find another fun, beautiful woman to be with. Uh, and that just simply isn't the case. And the reason that players or jerks, or players, jerks, whatever you want to call them, bad boys, I don't know. But the reason why they naturally do things that make women chase them, right? The reason why certain guys tend to have women going after them is not because women like jerks, right? And you've probably heard me say it's because they're confusing, right? Because women think about them. Well, why are they so confusing? Why do women chase these guys? Why do these guys play the game so well, so naturally? It's because of this idea, again, of abundance. A guy who does really well with women, he's not going to want to settle down immediately with the first cute girl he gets along with, because he knows that there's dozens of other girls, hundreds of other girls, thousands of other girls that he could be equally compatible with. So he's not going to immediately after 2 dates go, you know what, she's the one because we had a great conversation and she kissed well. No, he's going to go, she's pretty cool, she's good looking, but hey, I'm not committing until I know for sure that we connect on multiple levels. Um, and because of that, he's a little different. The nice guy meets her, and after 2 dates, he's immediately going, she's the one. She's the one. She's GF material. I can't tell you how many clients, that hire me, and they've met the girl, they've never even slept with her, and they're going, she's GF material. How do you know a girl is GF material if you've never gotten physical with her, if you've never slept with her, if you've never spent a weekend with her, right? You don't know anything about her until you do these things. The player, the bad boy, whatever you want to call him, he's been around the block enough to know that there's always another woman. So he's not going to consider a girl girlfriend material so quickly, and that makes him more exciting. Now, the interesting thing is that nice guys become players very quickly once they have this. Okay? This is the most interesting thing in the world, is that a lot of guys go, jerks, whatever, this, that. And that's because they're in a place of scarcity, right? And when you're in a place of scarcity, you tend to be nice because you don't want to do anything to lose the woman. You don't want to offend her. You don't want to, you put up with her bullshit because you're afraid if you don't, she's going to walk away and then you're going to have nothing, right? But an interesting thing happens. I've been coaching guys now for 12 years, and I have friends, and I've been in this situation myself, is that you start off nice, but then you begin to learn some of this stuff. Or maybe, I had friends in college who they got to college, virgins who had never even kissed girls in high school. And then they got to college and they were nice guys, total nice guys. But then they got into a new social scene where it got really easy to meet girls, you're drinking, you're partying, and all of a sudden all of a sudden these nice guys developed an abundant mentality. And what happens once you develop that abundant mentality? You become more of a natural jerk. Now, I don't say jerk in a bad way, right? I'm just saying that because guys tend to say women like jerks. But in reality, women like guys who have an abundance mentality. And jerks, you may describe them as jerks when you're sitting here, but once you develop an abundant mentality, you fall into this jerk player category where women will describe you that way because you're no longer willing to settle down after a couple good dates. You're no longer considering a girl girlfriend material just because she looks good. You have more options. So you keep your plate open. You're not going to settle down so quick. You're not going to tell a girl that you love her after 3 weeks. You're not going to begin buying her flowers like she's the queen, like, because you have abundance. So that's the only difference. The only difference between nice guys and jerks is how they have, right? Do they have an abundant mentality or a scarcity mentality? If you have scarcity mentality, you tend to be nice. If you have an abundant mentality, you tend to be more of the player or the jerk. It's as simple as that. There's no real difference, right? A lot of guys like to think that jerks have some inherently, yeah. The thing is that everything stems from that. Jerks, yes, they're a little bit more, they're willing to say more offensive things. Why? Because they're not scared of losing a woman because they know there's a lot of other ones out there. That's it. It's not because they're naturally bad. It's because they can take more risks, right? Abundance allows you to take more risks. Okay? And risks, we talked about in the 5 traits video, fun is a trait that makes you attractive to women. It makes women chase a guy who's a lot of fun. Well, the more risks you take with women, the more fun you are. And the more abundant mentality you have, the more risk you take, the more fun you are, the more likely women are to chase you. So it all stems from this mentality of abundance. So now the question is, how do you develop that mentality if you've always been the typical nice guy who doesn't really think he has a lot of options, who, maybe you've struggled, or maybe you haven't struggled, but maybe you're just the type of guy that meets a girl and thinks, man, she's the one. How do you prevent that? Well, let's discuss 3 ways that you can do that, right? So let's talk about 3 ways to implement this mindset. The first way that you want to do it is you want to change your mentality when you meet a woman that you connect with from she's GF material, or maybe you went on a couple dates with her and she didn't call you back. And now you're like, I'm never going to find another girl like her. And you get all upset and you get in this emotional quicksand. The best thing you want to do is express. And my friend, Christian Hudson actually told me this. And when he said it, I realized it was something that I had been doing that had helped me, right? Express gratitude for the situation, for her, right? And what I mean by that is, and I can say this from the bottom of my heart, every time that I've been with a woman in the past that it ended and I was upset about it, I always went on to meet someone that I was more compatible with, more attracted to, got along with better. So what I found was that anytime that I met a new woman that I was really into, and then for whatever reason it didn't work, I would almost be thankful. I would say, this just shows me that that last one wasn't the only one. There's a lot of them, right? You meet them, and I know that when you're going on a lot of dates, right? Especially if you're online and you're going out and you're meeting these girls off Match.com, and you get there and there's just, I mean, listen, I've been in the Match.com hell world years ago where I would go on dates and I was like, oh my God, you'd sit there and the most boring conversation. She never looked like her pictures. You're like, oh, this is, what am I doing here? And then you keep thinking about that other girl who was so much better in so many ways. But so when you do meet the one and it doesn't work out, don't get upset. Don't stay emotionally tied to her. Just go, thank you for letting me see that there are girls like that out there. Let me just get back out there because the one from 3 years ago, she wasn't the only one. My ex-girlfriend wasn't the only one. I just met a new one. And I'll probably meet another new one. The more I'm out there, the more likely it is I'm going to meet her. I know that you might go, well, in theory, that's easy to say, but trust me, the one girl that you're pining over, she's not that special. She's not that great. There's nothing about her that you're not going to find in other girls. It's the emotion. It's the scarcity mentality. I know this because we only really pine after a girl when we don't have another girl that we're into. The minute you find another girl that you're into, that last girl becomes old news. You don't even think about her anymore. The problem is that when you have nothing going on in your life, she's the only thing that you can associate those emotions that you want to have with a woman with. So you think she was the only one. So how else do you develop this mentality, right? Well, the thing you have to keep reminding yourself is that it's never been easier. And there's a variety of reasons why it's never been easier, but I'm going to give you the big one. Number one is the internet. Now, not only has it been never been easier because of, in the past, when I was like in high school, I had no clue what I was doing wrong. I had no clue. I knew that, I wasn't the guy that girls liked. I knew that, but I didn't know why. I thought maybe I was, and I wasn't fat. I wasn't, but I always blamed. Well, maybe I need to go to the gym more. I was naturally introverted and kind of quiet, so I always said, I'm just quiet. But I didn't really know what to do. I didn't understand any of that. Well, nowadays with the internet, I mean, you can watch videos like this and understand. Oh, wait a minute. It's not that I'm an unattractive person. It's that I haven't learned to flirt yet, or it's not that she didn't want to kiss me, it's that I didn't know how to make my move in the right way, or it's not that I'm naturally unattractive, it's that I was too needy, I was too available. And by the way, neediness comes from scarcity. The reason guys are needy, if you've ever been needy, if you've ever needed reassurance and you've been clingy with a girl, those unattractive traits, it comes from the feeling of scarcity. Once you have an abundant mentality, that neediness disappears. But when you watch videos like this, you can learn that it's not anything inherently wrong with you. It's that there were skills that you never learned. And because you had maybe the scarcity mindset, you veered into nice guy realm, and it probably cost you women that you probably had a good chance with had you learned these skills earlier in life. Well, now you have no excuse because, there's everywhere you look, there's ways to improve. But that's not the main reason. The other reason is that the internet allows you to connect with women all over the world, really, but all over the radius, right? In the past, and the reason I say this is I have a lot of clients that are older guys in their 50s, even guys in their 60s, who these guys have better sex lives than most 20-year-olds, right? These guys are hiring me because they're juggling multiple women. And the reason they're able to do that is because the internet now allows this. It's unfathomable that 15 years ago you were kind of regulated to your social circle, the girls you worked with, your friends of friends. Well, nowadays it doesn't matter if you're into hiking. You can go into hiking meetup groups online and connect with other hikers. If you're into music, you can join, go to music things. If you're into studying, Mandarin, you can go to study Mandarin. I mean, there's literally endless options of ways to meet women. Now, I understand years ago, if you were an outcast, like in high school, if you were an outcast in high school, it was tough because you didn't really have many options. Nowadays, no matter what age group you're in, you can go and find more women. There's always more women. And the thing is that you're some woman's type. No matter what you look like, no matter what your personality type is. I can remember being in a group one time, and this was back when I was still pretty clueless with women, and I was with a lot of my other friends who were, much better than me, and we were playing this game. This was early in college, and it was like, kind of like a truth or dare type game. And one of the questions is, who in this room would you want to hook up with? And one of the girls I never would have expected, she pointed to me and she's him. And then I find out that she's like liked me. And I never would have thought it. I never would have, it wouldn't even have crossed my mind, but I just happened to be her type. Well, you just happen to be some woman's type. And if you put yourself out there more places, you will meet that woman. She's out there and she's looking for you. But when you sit home and you focus on the one girl in your life who isn't into you, you're not going to meet the one who is. So you got to get out there more. And it's really never been easier. You also got to use dating apps. Now, I'm always shocked when I do a client call and I'm talking to a guy and I go, "What else are you doing to meet women? Are you on what dating apps are you on?" He's like, "Oh, I'm not on any. I was on Tinder 2 years ago and it didn't really do anything, so I haven't." I'm like, if you haven't watched the video yet, my friend Rob Judge, he's literally the master at dating apps, but he's got a video called endofmen.com. I'll link to it here, endofmen.com. Make sure you watch it because you have to be on dating apps nowadays. You absolutely have to be. Even if you don't want to be, you have to be because literally almost every woman you meet will be on these sites. And you need to know what her reality is because most guys that they can't comprehend this that women have this abundant mentality, right? And that's why women don't settle down with guys so fast anymore is because they're on these dating apps and they know they have, thousands of options. Well, the thing is that you have thousands of options on these dating apps too. And even if you don't have thousands of options, you have options. And when you're on these apps and you're communicating with girls, right? And even if you're not meeting up with them, even if you're not dating them or sleeping with them, even if you're just pulling out your phone and you're contacting them and you got messages from them, you begin to understand the mindset of the woman that you're into is that this is what she's going through, right? You're not the only guy in her phone. You're not the only guy she's talking to. So you have to really, it kind of helps you understand that, well, if she's the only girl you're talking to, and you're sitting home and you message her and you send her this boring thing, you expect her to be all excited because, oh, I got this message from him. But meanwhile, she's juggling like 18 guys on Tinder. Uh, you got to realize that you have to up your game a little bit to stand out. Um, so you want to be on these dating sites, A, because you will meet more women. I mean, like my client, like I said, my clients in their 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, these guys are killing it on sites like Tinder and Bumble and all that. It does come down to presenting yourself the right way and all that sort of stuff. Endofmen.com, you should watch that video. But you got to be on these sites because it fosters the abundant mentality. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about, and this really is one of the most important, is always be growing and improving. Because one of the things that happens is a lot of times the scarcity mindset comes because you met a really great girl. Maybe you've been in a relationship and you got lazy. And then you get out of the relationship and you forgot how to flirt. You forgot all the things that made you appealing to your last girlfriend. And all of a sudden, you kind of feel like you have nothing going on in your life. You kind of have this low self-esteem. So one of the things I should say is that, first off, a lot of guys think that women have the power. Well, the reality is that if you're a successful, a guy who has purpose, a guy who has a lot of those other traits that I talked about. You have autonomy, you have boundaries, you're going somewhere in life. Those are the guys that women are insanely attractive. They have all the power in the social scene. Um, it's not that women have the power. It's that, I kind of say that, there's such thing as income inequality. Well, there's also dating inequality. The guys that are at the top of the food chain, they have all the choice. Well, the goal is not to be the guy at the bottom of the food chain. The goal is to always be rising to the top of the food chain. And it's not as hard as you think, right? When you eliminate this mentality of I'm not naturally good looking as those guys. Well, I can tell you this, natural good lookingness does not take you very far. I've had somebody left it in a comment recently. If you look at the guys in high school who are naturally good looking, you can see that they don't normally marry the best looking women. On the other hand, if you look at the guys in high school who struggled a little bit, they tend to be the ones who are getting the better women because they had to make their life better. And women are attracted to that, the guy who makes his life better. So if you're not settling, right? And that was one of the things that we talked about in standards, right? If you're not settling, if you're always striving to be better in all areas, right? And I have videos on my channel about, getting better at making money because getting better at, self-confidence because the cream rises to the top. Cream rises to the top. So if you're always improving, you will develop this abundance mentality because you will be moving towards that pinnacle of all of a sudden women start coming to you. And I can't tell you how many of my older clients. I had an older client say it to me recently. He goes, Bobby, it's like 10 times easier at 50 to meet women than it was when I was 20. He's like, because nowadays, if you're relatively stable, successful, in shape, and you know how to talk to women, you know how to flirt, you know how to play the game, you have this abundance mentality, you become the prize. And as long as you have that mindset of like I'm always going to be making myself the best version of myself, you begin to think in abundant terms because you'll notice it, right? I can't tell you how many clients that have hired me to get one girl, and now they're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to settle down because there's so many girls out there, and I'm having so much fun being single. So to sum it up, you want to develop the mindset of abundance. That's all it comes down to. Abundance is the only thing that separates nice guys and let's just call them for players, whatever. I don't like that term, but let's just call them that, right? Because then there's scarcity here, and nice guys cling to scarcity, players cling to abundance. Once you begin to cling to abundance, you move into that category. It's as simple as that.